GameSci.com. GameSci.com.
Hello everybody, welcome to a video on debugging JavaScript. Now by design, JavaScript is meant to be quiet on errors. It doesn't splash error messages or alert box up. It's designed to be quiet. You could type in very bad JavaScript and you'll never see an error message on the page. For example, let's say this link is supposed to pop up alert box. I click on it, nothing happens. That's the way JavaScript is designed. When an error occurs, nothing happens. We've got to figure out how to fix and repair our broken JavaScript. So let's get on with the video. Let's start with the browsers. I like Firefox. It seems to have the best error messages and the best tools, so I like using Firefox. It also has the old-fashioned pull-down menus. I can't remember keyboard shortcuts, so I like to go to Open File to open a web page. I like to go to Browser Tools and go to the browser console. I don't have to memorize commands on the keyboard to use it. So Firefox is my preferred browser. The other good one is Chrome. Chrome has excellent tools built into it. I'm sure many of you have used at least Firefox or Chrome, one or the other. A little harder to tell when you're running Chrome. It doesn't have the pull-down menus. But if you go over there and click on some of the icons in the corner, you can see this is Chrome. And it does have some menus on it, but in general, you're going to have to learn the keyboard shortcuts to use Chrome. There are other browsers like Safari and Edge, but I just can't cover every browser. It's just not possible. So we're going to concentrate on Firefox and Chrome, and if you use another browser, you're going to have to Google some of these features for your browser. Now let's go to Tools, Browser Tools, and the Browser Console. This is the most important thing we have to learn about debugging JavaScript. It's this browser console that will show you the error messages that the web page won't show you. And you can see that some errors pop up, and in the red there, that's the error message we're concerned with. Now let's clear out the old error messages so we're not looking at anything from a previous web page, and go click on our link again. Watch what happens when we click on our link again. Let me adjust my screen so you can see both, and then I'll click on the link again, and up pops the error message. That's what we have to see. This is so important to see your error messages before you keep coding. You need to know what's going wrong and fix it before you continue on with your JavaScript. You have to pop up your browser console and see what's going on. Now we can do the same thing in Chrome, but we have to remember the keyboard shortcut, right? It's Control-Shift-J. Control-Shift-J. When you press Control-Shift-J in Chrome or Firefox, up pops the browser console. And we can repeat the same thing that we did before. There's our console. We'll go over, we'll click on our link, and there's our error message. Bang, bang, bang. I clicked it 3 times. I saw 3 error messages. That's what you have to do. This is the key to debugging JavaScript, is looking at the console and looking at the error messages and fixing them before you go on to the next project, the next lab. Other browsers have consoles. If Control-Shift-J does not bring it up on Safari or Edge, you're going to have to Google how to display the browser console or the JavaScript console. Let's start easy. We'll debug a programming exercise, and then we'll come back and do the full web page. So here is exercise 3.1. We're going to debug it. Now, most important here is, as we start, is to clear the browser console. Now you see the trash can there? That wipes out the old error messages. So we're starting fresh and we're only seeing new error messages. That's most important. Oops, I got a little glitch here. Let's try this again. We'll type this in correctly first, and then we'll make a mistake and see what happens on the browser console. So I'll fix this error that I made before and clear the console again because I had a little glitch there, and input this properly. Here is the correct answer to this exercise. And if we submitted, everything would go good. But let's make an intentional mistake and see what the console does and how it can help us find our mistake. So I'll get rid of this 12. It has to be there, but I'll get rid of it and we'll submit this exercise anywhere. This is a syntax error. This will not work. And boom, I get an error message at the top of my code, and I see the error message on my browser console. If I see those bright red error messages on my browser console, it's not going to work. I can use the message at the top of the screen above return to exercises, or I could go examine the browser console and see what the error message is. Very, very important when you're having problems with your JavaScript to go look at that browser console. It's like flying blind if you don't look at the browser console. Let's go back and do a much more subtle error and see how the console can help with that. So I'll return to exercises and display the 3.1 again. And this time I'm going to make a much more subtle error. I'll fill out the code the way it should be, but instead of adding 7 like it asks, I'm going to add 3. I'm just going to intentionally get this wrong. Now, the code will run. There's no syntax errors, but it won't be right because I won't get the right total. So how would I debug something like that? The answer is a simple command called console.log. And what console.log will do is display a message on the console for me to view. So I'll type in the command, and then what do I want to put inside of it? I'm going to put a little message to myself before and see what the variable Tom's age has before I do my math. And then I'll copy that line and place it afterwards. And I'll print Tom's age after the command. Now I forgot to change the word before to after here, but you get the idea. We'll figure it out. And now when I submit and run this exercise, I can actually see on the console what's in the variable Tom's age when I run the program. Here we go. The console.log command is very important. Once you learn it, it's much easier to debug your code. Once again, I'll clear my error messages because I don't want to see the old ones. And after I clear my error messages, I'll submit this exercise. And now I'm going to see what the console.log is telling me. Boom. Now, the answer was incorrect because I added the wrong number. And if I go look at the screen at the top, of course, it's telling me some information about it, right? It's telling me, hey, it's not quite the right number. But if I really want to see what's going on in my JavaScript, what I need to do is go look at that console log, because what console log is going to show me is what the value was before. And you can see I've highlighted it. Before, Tom's age contained a 16. Afterwards, Tom's age contained a 19. I was supposed to get a 23. I got a 19. Again, I should have put the word after here instead of before, but you get the idea. You can actually print what's going on inside the exercise using the console.log command. And it won't affect the web page, it won't affect the exercise, it'll just show up on the console log where you have a good, easy time to see it. You can also see the line number where the code occurred, right? So you can see at line 5 and line 7 is where I executed the console.log command. It's an important debugging tool, console.log, because it lets you see what's going on without changing the web page or without popping up an alert, which too many alerts are always irritating. I'd rather debug using console.log than use an alert statement. Let's switch over to Chrome and see how it works under Chrome. I'll go over to my string concatenation 3.2 and we'll display it. One of the nice things about Chrome is when you Control-Shift-J and show the console, it clears it automatically. You don't have to clear it yourself. So that's one less step we have to do on Chrome. Now I'm going to make an error. I'm purposely going to make an error on this. I'm just not following the instructions. I'm not typing in the code correctly. This is an error, and not only is it an error, it's a syntax error. So when I type full name equals full name plus last name, that is wrong. I'm not following the instructions. This is going to cause a JavaScript error. So I'll submit this exercise, and boom, it blew up. I see the uncaught reference. Full name is not defined. That should have been an F_name. Couple of differences. I like how Chrome puts the console to the right and not in a separate window. If I'm over in Firefox, it it pops up two windows. That gets a little complicated, but Chrome I think is a little nicer. Okay, enough with the exercises. Let's switch over and look at the labs. Exercises are small pieces of code. Let's go look at the lab, which is a much bigger piece of code. Here's a sort of web page. It's kind of in the middle of lab 3. I haven't completed lab 3. It's kind of in the middle. And there's lab 3 displayed for you. Let's go back to working on the full-on web page that we post on our host and see how we could debug code that we have posted on our host. Once again, it's going to be the console that's the biggest help. I'll clear some error messages off of that console. There's that little slash mark that clears the Chrome console. And if I click on this link, as we saw before, there's an error there, and up pops the error for the link. So again, clear it, then do your thing, and then see the new error message. And that's how you figure out what's new and what's old. Switching back to Firefox, I'll show you the same thing. I'll display my lab web page, and I'll display the console. First thing I want to do is kind of arrange the screen so I can see them good. And I'll clear the browser console, so I'm looking at new fresh errors, and I'll press the link, and you can see that I'm getting my error message. And it doesn't display multiple error messages. Every time I click it, it just adds a number to that count next to the error message. But I clearly have an error with that link. Something's wrong. So how do we fix it? How do we debug it? We pull up the console, and the first thing we do is we look for the error messages. After that, we got to read the error messages carefully, and it looks like I got some weird spelling going on there. If you look carefully there, it's supposed to say display special, and it's just not. So I got to go figure out what's going on. When it comes time to working on it, I have a couple of choices here. I can go to Word Space and click on the File Manager and go work on it there. But I've got another option for you. It's better to debug your web pages on your computer. If you look closely at the top of the screen, there's a /C:/user/Chris blah blah blah. This web page is on my computer. And what I'm going to do is use a program called Notepad++. Notepad++ is a text editor designed for programming languages, and it's very good at displaying and editing JavaScript and HTML. The best thing about it is it's color-coded, right? You can see my HTML there has nicely color-coded features to it. If I edit here on Notepad++ on my computer, I can use it and edit very much faster than I can if I go to a Word Space directly. So I'm going to keep my index.html file and my student.js file on my computer and edit it there. And you can see the JavaScript was color-coded also. Bang. The key to editing this file on my computer is being able to open and view the file directly from the web browser. Let's cut a Word Space out of it and do it all on my computer. So how do we do that? Let's go over to our browser here real quick. And if you look at the file menu in Firefox, there is an open file, Control-O, that you can go to, and you can look at the folders on your hard drive, and you could find your index.html file and your student.js file, and you could say, open and view these web pages. So I'm going to pick my index.html file and hit open, and I'll view the web page directly from my hard drive. I don't need to be on a Word Space. A Word Space is slow and cumbersome. I am just on my hard drive. I click back and forth a couple times. Now, why don't we want to use a Word Space for this? It takes longer, right? I got to click on the File Manager. From the File Manager, I have to go down to some directories. It's slower when you try to edit your file when it's on a remote computer. It's a lot harder to do it from a Word Space. So what we're going to do is learn how to edit our files directly as they sit on the hard drive of our main computer. You can see how long it's taken me to get to my index.html file. This is as opposed to just going to the file menu and hitting open, or going Control-O in Chrome and saying open up and view my file. Look how quick it is to open and read a file using a browser. Much, much faster. So here's my code. I'm going to load it into Notepad++, and we're going to look how to edit the file while it sits on my computer and display the changes just by reading the file in the browser window. Okay, so I have my two files open up in Notepad++ where I can edit them. And I have my web page loaded in the browser where I'm reading these very same files from my hard drive. Let's make a quick change and see how it does. Let's get rid of this debugging JavaScript message and hit save on my hard drive. Flip back over to the browser, and this is the web page that I have open that's on my hard drive. Now, the important key here is hold down the shift key and press reload, and it will reload from my hard drive, and you can see the change is now appearing. Let's switch over to Chrome, do the same thing. The key here, hold down the shift key when you hit the reload button. That forces it to read all the files, both files from the hard drive. And the little message that I had at the top, it was just temporary there, is now gone. I made a quick edit, and in 2 seconds, I'm viewing the new web page. It's much, much faster than AwardSpace. If I go into AwardSpace, and it took me a long time to get to this file, then I have to hit save, then I have to go hit shift reload on this page. It takes a long time in AwardSpace to make the same change I can make almost instantly when the files are sitting on my hard drive and when I'm viewing the web page from my hard drive. Now, AwardSpace is not bad. It's good. We're going to move our code there eventually, but it is a lot easier to look at and view things from my hard drive than it is from AwardSpace. So keep AwardSpace in the back of your mind. We're going to come back to it and look at editing from there too. I just want to show you how to do it from your hard drive. Put them in an editor like Notepad++, and then open and read your web page directly from your hard drive. Right now I have the web page open from AwardSpace, and I have it open from my hard drive. Just to show you how much faster it is to edit on your computer, I can switch back and forth instantly between my index.html file and my student.js file. It's very quick, and when I hit save, it's instant. Now, when I go back to AwardSpace and I'm looking at one of my files, let's pull up the JavaScript file on AwardSpace. To get over to the JavaScript file, I hit save. That takes a little bit. I hit back. Depending on the speed, it takes a little bit. Then I go back down into the JS file, and then maybe I can edit the JS file. It's just slower to navigate between your files if you're doing it on AwardSpace. You have all that lag from your internet connection. I'd much rather have the files and edit them on my hard drive, and then when I'm done, I'll upload to AwardSpace. Again, I'm not disparaging AwardSpace. It is a great website for hosting, but as far as editing goes, I'd rather use the editor on my computer than use the editor on AwardSpace. It's just faster to edit from your own computer. Back to debugging. We still have the error on our web page that we need to fix. So I'll pull up the web page, and again, this is a web page from my hard drive. I'll pull up the browser console and clear it, and then press display today's special, and boom, that's the error that we're worried about. We still have not fixed that one. It says dplay special 548 is not defined. I'm a little concerned about the spelling there. Dplay special doesn't look right. Now my other links work. When I click on them, they're working, but when I click on this one, I get that error popping up, and if I click multiple times, you can see the number gets bigger on it. So I have to go fix this error. What's wrong with dplay special 548? How do we fix it? Well, first of all, we look at the error message and we read it carefully. Once we look at the error message, we go to our code and start looking at our code, and there it is. There's our dplay special 548 in the HTML. I think the problem is spelling. I think I spelled display wrong. So I'm going to spell it correctly, display special 548. And what you have to understand is sometimes the error is in the JavaScript and sometimes it's in the HTML. And if I go look at the JavaScript, it's spelled correctly in the JavaScript. So clearly the name of the function is supposed to be display special, right? Before it was missing some letters here. So when I clicked on it, it was trying to go to a function that didn't exist, and hence I got the error. So I'm going to edit it and fix it here on my computer. I'm going to hit save. I hope I'm going to hit save. There it is. Boom. Save this file with the fix. And as soon as I save it, I'll go out to the web page again. And in a matter of seconds, I'm going to be able to see whether I've fixed this special. There's the spelling error on my console. Let's pop up the web page now and see if we fixed our little error. I'll hit Shift Reload to make sure I've got the updated version that I just edited. I'll clear the browser console, press my link, and voila, the error message is gone. So my little error of misspelling the name in the HTML is now been fixed, and you can see how quick it is. Quick edit, quick save, and quick reload, and boom, you've got your error fixed. I'll switch back to Chrome to verify Chrome thinks the error is fixed too. Remember, it's Control-O to open and read a web page from your hard drive. I'll pick my index.html file and say open it up. There it is. I'm reading my web page from my hard drive. I'll see the address at the top, c:\users. That is not from the internet. That is from my hard drive. And now I'm viewing the web page from my hard drive that I just edited. Control-Shift-J will open up the browser console, and when I click today's specials, no error message. So that's how you do it. You spot the error on the console, you fix it, and you verify that it works. If I bring back my error, I'll save it. There, my error's back. I hit Shift Reload and hit the button, hit the link, and boom, my error's back. So I verified I can fix it. I can verify I put it back. And look how quick it is. I'm going right back and forth, changing it on my hard drive, hitting a quick save, a quick flip back to the browser, Shift Reload to see the new file, and verify that the fix is in. You cannot edit a file quicker than that when you go to WordSpace. It doesn't happen that way. You can edit and fix and do everything on your hard drive, and once you get it working, then you copy and paste it or upload it to a WordSpace. But all your editing and debugging can happen on your hard drive where it's nice and fast. And then when you're all done, there's a copy of the file. I can copy it. After I copy it, I can switch over to a WordSpace and upload it to a WordSpace. You may ask yourself, isn't it a pain in the butt having two copies of the web page files? One on your hard drive and one on a WordSpace? And the answer to that is no. It's a backup, stupid. You never ever should have one copy of a web page. You have a copy on your hard drive and a copy on a WordSpace. If a WordSpace should crash and lose your files, then you have a copy on your hard drive you can upload to a new host. If your computer should crash and you lose your files, you can have a copy on a WordSpace that you download. You always maintain two copies of the same file, one on your hard drive, one on your host. And just upload the changes once you're done. Now, I happen to think it's much faster and much easier to edit and change your file when it's on your hard drive. So that's the one you edit. And when it's working good on your hard drive, that's when you copy it up to WordSpace. And that's the secret to a happy life. You never have one point of failure. Where one computer crashes, you lose everything. You do have to do a little testing when you come back. You know, you upload the new version to a WordSpace. You think you got your fixes in. I fixed it and I'm testing it right now. It looks like my updated version that I just uploaded to WordSpace is now working because my error message is now gone. There's more that we can do besides the browser console. This one's going to help more on the HTML side and figuring out what's going on with the HTML. But if you pull up your web page, and it doesn't matter whether it's from your website or from your hard drive, and right-click on something like a link, you could go to the Inspect element on that menu, and that'll pop up a screen that will inspect the HTML for the thing that you just clicked on. Now, I can go in and see exactly what's going on with my link, and I can click on other elements and see it. You can see I can see the display special, and it'll show you exactly what the HTML is doing for that link. This will become a lot more important when we're creating dynamic JavaScript. You know, this stuff that we put in the web page, we pretty much know what the HTML is, but pretty soon we're going to be writing JavaScript that generates HTML. And to verify that HTML is good, you go into the inspect element. Again, it's a right click and inspect, and you can see exactly what's going on with the HTML that's being displayed on your web page. It's basically show me the HTML that put this on my web page. Switching over to Chrome, I'll do the same thing. I'll right click and go to inspect and show you what Chrome does to inspect an element. And it's a little easier to read, I think, than the Firefox version. And I can go down and see what all the underlying HTML that is generating my web page. Again, this will be much more useful when we're starting to do dynamic HTML. And I can right click on a new one, and it'll go straight to that element in the inspection report. So the inspect is good for debugging the HTML side more so than the JavaScript side. And sometimes that's where the errors are. They're on the HTML side, not the JavaScript side. So debugging is an important thing. We have to figure out what's wrong with the HTML. We have to figure out what's wrong with the JavaScript. I'll go to my award space website. This is the live website on the internet, and show you another thing to help with the HTML. Here's my web page, and if I right click on the screen and do view page source, right click view page source, I can see a color highlighted version of my website. This is the HTML that's downloaded. And if you look closely, look at that red HTML tag there. That shouldn't be red. It's lit up in red because it's in the wrong spot. Now this is a very, very minor problem, but still it's a little glitch in the HTML, and you can see how the color highlighting does a great deal of service to me in showing me that, you know, something's wrong with that HTML tag. So what I need to do is I need to move that HTML tag. Its proper spot is above the head tag. The HTML should be at the top, not in the middle like that. So let's go and fix that HTML tag. The red highlighting is telling us we have a problem. I'll go over to Word Space. There's the HTML in the wrong spot. I'll cut it and I'll move it and I'll put it in the proper spot. I save the web page and come back to the web browser and verify my fix worked. Now, here's the one on my hard drive. I want to make sure I fix it in both spots, right? You don't want to fix it in one page and not the other. So I moved the HTML to the proper spot on award space and on my hard drive. Shift reload. Be sure to hit the shift key and reload it. Same thing on my internal web page. And now I'll view page source, and look, the HTML is in the proper spot. And it's no longer lit up in red because it's in the right spot. You'll notice in the view page source, the script tag at the top for student.js looks like a link, because it is. You click on it and you're viewing your student.js file. This is important to make sure that you've got the correct version of the JS file. It's important to make sure if you didn't hit shift reload, you're looking maybe at an old one. All you have to do to view your JavaScript code is to click on that student.js. You can see that Chrome does the same thing. Right click on the middle of the page, go to view page source, and you're looking at your HTML. Click on the student.js link, and you're looking at your JavaScript. You never know what version you have, especially with the version on your hard drive and the version on your web host. You want to make sure that you're looking at the proper or the newest version. Let's go back and look specifically at Lab 3 and try and use some of these debugging techniques that we've learned. You don't get good at JavaScript debugging until you try it. So in Lab 3, I intentionally put some errors in this code and said start with this code and fix the errors. So we're going to take this code and put it into our web page. Copy and paste it, and as I said, it has errors in it. We're going to try and fix those errors. So I'll go to my JavaScript file on my hard drive and paste the code from Lab 3 into it. And again, I'm telling you right now, this code has errors in it. Your job in this lab is to find those errors. Now, maybe you could just look at it and figure it out, but most people need the JavaScript console and their JavaScript debugging in order to go ahead and find those errors. So my code is now in my file. I'll bring up my browser console or my JavaScript console. I'll clear it out so I'm not looking at old errors. I'll go to my web page and hit Shift Reload. Always Shift Reload, and boom, the first error in the code pops up. Syntax error, string literal contains an unescaped line break. It basically telling me my double quotes are off. See those two double quotes? And it's also telling me line 13. You see that 13 next to student.js? It's saying line 13 has a problem. And if I go look at line 13, I have a problem with my double quotes on line 13. Now I'm not here to do your lab number 3, so it's up to you. But that's the error. That's the first error. And to be honest with you, I have to fix that one first, because this is a type of error that dominoes, right? Everything until the next double quotes is going to be kind of ignored. So I have to fix this error, upload or change it, and then go back and look at the next error, and then fix that error, fix it, and then go look at the next error. It's sort of a, you have to fix one error at a time. But look at that line 13. That's important, right? It's telling you what line number it thinks it has a problem. And after I fix line 13, it's going to go to line 15 maybe and tell me I have a problem there. So I've got to fix line 13 before I can move on to the next error. That's the way debugging works. Sometimes one error can fix other errors. Sometimes one error dominoes into other errors. So you think maybe you have 4 errors, but you just have the one, and fix the one, it helps. So that's the assignment. Look at that JavaScript console and try and fix the code. I'll now do the same experiment using my award space web page and Chrome this time. So I'll have to go to award space and put in the code from lab 3 and see if I can debug it. So right away I'm a little confused. I'm on the HTML. I got to go over to the JavaScript. So it's already taking longer than when I did it on my hard drive website. But I'll get to it. Here's my JavaScript code. Now I got to go get the code from the lab. I'll copy that code, bring it back to award space, and paste it into award space. Boom. Again, I'm doing pretty much the same thing as I did before. I'm just using award space this time and Chrome to do it. So my code is now uploaded. I have to hit save. Once I hit save, I can go over to my website. Make sure you're on your award space website. And what do we have to do here? The big thing to do is shift reload. Now this is interesting. You'll see the error popped up on the console as soon as I hit reload, but it's a slightly different error than we saw over on the Firefox console, and frankly I don't think it's as good as a Firefox one. But it does still identify line 13 as the bad line, or where the error is. But once again, different browser, slightly different error message. That's no big deal. There's the JavaScript console. You can see it identified the double quotes. I thought the Firefox error is better than the Chrome error, but either one you put down is okay by me. If you were using Safari or Edge, you'll probably maybe even get a different error message. There's no guarantee that you'll get exactly the same error message on different browsers. So be aware, be flexible. The important thing though is line 13. They both identified line 13 as the error line, and we have to go fix line 13. That's just the way it is with web browsers. Certain things I like Firefox better, like this error message. Other times I like Chrome better. It's just the way it is with web browsers. We got to get used to it. One more important debugging technique. Go to the programmer's best friend Google and type in JavaScript lint, L-I-N-T. Do that search and you'll see jslint.com at the top. Lint is a program that will check your JavaScript code. So let's go to this website. Let's clear that stuff out. We don't need their stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our JavaScript code in here, and it's going to check it for us. It's going to check us for errors. It's going to check us for warning. It's basically going to say, is my code good or bad, and tell us. So I'm going to go over to my award space and grab my code. Again, word space, I'm having a little trouble copying and pasting. I forgot the V there. Let me get all the characters of my code. I'm going to copy this code and bring it over to jslint.com and paste it in there. Once I have my code pasted in there, I can hit the JSLint button. And what it'll do is it'll look at and verify my code, and you see it goes right to that line 13 and says you have a problem. I hover over the problem and it says unclosed string. That's a pretty good error message. It's saying you're missing a double quote basically, and I need to fix that missing double quote. And if I fix it and hit JSLint again, it should move past that to the next error message. Now it still has a little warning on that line, but it's gone on to line 15 and saying now I have a problem on line 15. Again, I'm not trying to debug the whole program, but this is a way to kind of check your code and see if it's good or not. Now, one of the reasons I haven't shown you this before is it's kind of picky. I mean, it's really, really picky, right? For there, it's calling out a missing semicolon. It says, you know what, I would prefer you put a semicolon on every line. I do, and it still has a little blah. I don't know what it's saying on there. Don't take warnings that serious, right? It's not the end of the world when you get a warning on a line. What you're really looking for are those big red error marks. For example, look at this warning message on line 15. Unexpected trailing space. Seriously, it doesn't like an extra space there. It's not important to fix those types of warning messages. So don't get too bent out of shape by warnings. Look at them, see if they're reasonable, fix them if they're easy. But you know, use this for big error messages, right? This thing's not liking the tabs or the extra spaces. You know, it's better if you fix them all, but don't worry too much about these warnings, especially that line's too long type of error message. That's not a big deal. Anyway, that is one of the programs you can use to kind of check your JavaScript. Let's go look at a different program that's almost as good or maybe better. Back to my Google results, you can see there's an eslint.org there. That's a one you can try. And there's a jshint.com. I like JSHint because it's more interactive. Right? As soon as you put your code in, it spits out the errors. And again, it goes to line 13 and says I have an unclosed string. Doesn't like the missing semicolon on line 5. But as soon as I put the semicolon in, boom, the error goes away. As soon as I put the double quote in where it should be on this line, that error goes away. I don't have to click a button or remember to click a button. It just updates the error messages as soon as I start to fix them. Which one do you like better, JSHint or JSLint? That's up to you. I'm not here to micromanage you. I'm here to show you all the different ways you can debug your JavaScript. Try these things out. If you like them, use them. So my number one advice is work on your computer. You know, edit, test, debug your web pages on your computer. Load them locally with Control-O into your browser window. Get them working there. And when everything's good, then upload them to WordSpace. You don't have to use Notepad++ like I'm doing here, but if you are going to use another editor, make sure it does the color highlighting like you see here. The color highlighting tells you when something is wrong. There is one thing about a WordSpace editor that I do like, and that is missing curly braces. Missing curly braces are the number one problem for beginning programmers, especially because they domino. You miss a curly brace on line 10, it could domino all the way to line 300 of your program. You really want to get good at finding or locating missing curly braces. So let's go on to a WordSpace here, and I'm going to kind of clean up my code a little bit so we can see the curly braces more. And what I'm going to do is click on a curly brace, and you can see that it color highlights the match for you. And if I get rid of that curly brace, I lose my color highlight. Let me click on another curly brace and show you an example. Click down here, and that green one matches up with the green one below, and you can see which curly braces match. And if you get your curly braces off, it'll be helpful in telling you where the missing one is. And if I go back up here, notice how it's not green until I install the replacement, or I put back the one, and now they both light up in green. So award space is pretty good for doing that, for showing you your missing curly braces. Notepad++ will do it a little bit. Let me recreate the same thing on Notepad. And you can see if I get rid of a curly brace, I lose some color highlighting. If I click on this one, now they're red. It's just they decided to use red. And I click back up here, it doesn't turn red. I'm missing a curly brace match for that one. If I put it back, it should come back to red. Though award space is a little bit better, I think, than Notepad++ in helping you spot these missing curly braces. But Notepad++ will do the same thing. Put in a good one, and now I can see they're both red. They match. Please be careful with your curly brace. That's going to be the #1 mistake you make. That wraps it up. Happy bug hunting. You get good at quashing those bugs, you're good at JavaScript programming. Practice it. Thank you.